welcome back to my channel. So today we'll be making onion tart. We have to make a short crust pastry first, and then we're gonna make a filling with onions, cheese, and bechamel sauce. It's gonna be yummy. So we're gonna start with the short crust pastry. So I'm gonna sift 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm gonna add 5 grams of salt. So now we need to add 1 stick of butter. I know some people use shortening or margarine to make the dough, but I really recommend that you use butter. Okay, it actually tastes much better with butter. And if you really want to use shortening, at least use half shortening and half water. Now first golden rule when making shortcrust pastry is to use cold butter and cold water. Okay, always use that. It's actually what makes the difference between a bad dough and a light and flaky dough. So we're gonna cut the butter in cubes. So now we have to mix the butter and the flour, and to mix that we're gonna use our fingertips, and this technique is actually called in French a sablage. Okay, what we want is to mix the flour with the butter until it looks like a sand. So you have to work as quick as you can because we don't want the butter to melt, we don't want the mixture to become greasy. So that's actually what we are looking for. I'm gonna add 1 egg yolk. Yeah, so actually you don't have to add the egg yolk, it's optional, but I find that when you add the egg yolk, the dough is softer and more pliable. I'm gonna add 50 milliliters of cold water. You can add a bit more, a bit less depending on your dough, but try not to add too much water. Be careful not to add too much, because if you do, your dough is gonna be hard, okay, when it's cooked. Alright, so I'm gonna start by adding half of the water first. And we use a fork. Add the rest of the water, and to check if you have like enough water, you can take like a handful of dough like that. If it holds together, it's okay. You don't have to add more water. All you have to do is continue to work your dough and form a ball. Now I'm gonna wrap the dough in a plastic film. I'm forming like this because I want to be able to roll it easily. I'm gonna put the dough in the fridge for 30 minutes, so you really have to let it rest, okay? Because you don't want your dough to shrink when you're gonna cook it. So we're gonna make the filling, and I have to slice 5 onions. Okay, so this is actually the least fun part of making this recipe. I always ask someone else to do that. I'm gonna use my mandolin to do it quicker. Okay. Alright. So don't worry, it seems like a lot of onions, but the onions are gonna release all of their water. It's gonna cook down, so it's not gonna be that much. I'm gonna slice my cheese. So I'm actually using Gruyere cheese. I use 200 grams of Gruyere cheese, but you can use like from 100 to 200. You don't have to use exactly 200 grams. And as you can see, it's a lot of cheese, but of course you can use less. I'm gonna melt in low heat the butter. Okay, so I'm gonna add the onion, and you have to keep on stirring because you don't want the onions to burn. So I cooked the onion for 5 minutes and it has already cooked down. Now I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of épices. So if you don't have épices ready to use in your fridge, you don't have to go and make some, okay? So it's still gonna taste great. So now I'm gonna turn off the heat. So I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of flour and I'm gonna mix very well. And I'm gonna put it back on the heat and continue to mix for about 2 minutes. Well, actually you don't have to like mix for exactly 2 minutes, okay? Actually 1 minute can be enough. Okay, so I'm adding half of the milk. Okay, so I'm adding evaporated milk. I'm gonna bring the mixture to boil. Okay, so it's boiling and I'm adding the rest of the milk. So what you want it to reach a thick consistency. So it should be thick enough to put the back of a spoon. Okay. So turn off your heat. So add 1 tablespoon of mustard. I'm gonna add 1.5 teaspoon of épices du chef. Actually, épices du chef, it's a mix of dry pepper, dry parsley, garlic powder, salt, and I don't know what it has again, but you can use any of your favorite dry spices. Like you can use maybe Italian seasoning if you want. I don't know. Anyways, I like to use that because it enhances the flavor of my tart. But of course, if you don't have it, you can omit that and use like any other like dry spices that you have. And I'm gonna mix. Let it cool down before adding the egg yolk and the cheese. I'm gonna line my tart dish. I'm actually using a removable tart dish like that. And if you don't have one, it's okay to use any other one that you have in your house. Let's butter the tart dish. I let the dough chill for 30 minutes. If you left it more than 30 minutes, it can be a bit hard, but it's okay. All you have to do is let it rest outside for like 10 minutes before you start rolling the dough. Sprinkle a bit of flour on your working surface. Don't sprinkle too much flour, okay? You just want to use like enough flour because you don't want the dough to stick on your cutting board. Do the same on your rolling pin. Now you want to roll. Turn your dough. Turn again. Okay, so if it sticks to the board, sprinkle a bit more flour. Okay, but not too much. Alright, it should be okay. Alright, so you're gonna roll your dough onto the rolling pin. Go very slowly, you don't want to break the dough. And you're gonna unroll gently on your tart dish. Nice. And you can take a bit of excess dough, okay, and press firmly into the side of your dish. If it tear up like that, all you have to do, you can take a bit of dough like that and patch it Alright, like so. You can roll your pin firmly, like onto your tart dish, to get rid of the excess dough. But I'm gonna show you a trick, okay? Because anyway, it's gonna shrink a bit inside of your oven. So what I do, I cut a part of the excess dough, and I'm gonna let a bit of dough overhang. And when it's cooked, I'm gonna take a serrated knife to cut it completely. So that's it. Let it rest for 15 minutes before putting the filling. To finish with the filling, I'm gonna add the cheese. Before adding the cheese, okay, if you add like a bit of salt, don't add too much salt, okay, because the cheese is already salty and it's gonna melt and make the top more salty. No, leave some of the cheese to sprinkle on your top. Alright, so I'm gonna add the 2 egg yolks. Okay, so after 15 minutes you can fill the tart dish. Alright, so sprinkle with more cheese. And we're gonna put in the oven for 30 to 40 minutes at 350 degree Fahrenheit. So it looks very delicious. So you can let it sit for 5 minutes if you want, because it's very hot. And I'm gonna use a serrated knife to cut the overhang dough. So I'm gonna let it sit for like 10 to 15 minutes before we move it from the tart dish, because I don't want to make a mess. It's very pretty and it looks delicious. And I'm gonna cut a slice. Alright, yum. So I hope you will make that recipe, and if you like it, let me know. I will be very happy to know. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, leave a comment, like the recipe, and you can also share the recipe. So bye.